So I guess we get an answer why Sanderson didn't want Vin saying she's leaving to Sazed in the last chapter.
Yes. Now it makes sense. But yeah, still a bit shaky on that one. On the
Me
whole,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's like
Mm.
I don't know what could have been done to restructure it, but yeah, it's a little wonky, I suppose.
I think if we had, like, I think I said it before, like if we just had maybe one line or something of uncertainty, or that she was hiding this, it just seemed like completely
Yeah, or
out
if
of the
if we
picture.
had the Sazed POV right before the Vin and Ellen scene. The thing is that Vin and Ellen scene has to happen.
Mhm.
If we could have had I see how the order has to happen. Like if we could have had Sazed come to this conclusion before we get the Vin and Ellen scene where Vin decides to leave, that would play better. But we have to have that scene so that Vin can reference what she did at sets when she goes to
Mhm.
Sazed. I see that as well. I
Yeah.
suppose I could make an argument that we don't need her to invoke what she did at sets in order to have that conversation with Sazed, though, because these were all things she was already feeling anyway.
But
But
I would want her to. I would want her to, because then it would make it feel even more like that chapter was written at a for like for a completely different time. If she didn't reference the what had happened, it would be like
yeah,
this was definitely written before everything else. It was like a key chapter, and then he slotted it in. So the fact that
yeah,
she does reference it is important.
agreed. So, like I said, I don't quite know what I could do differently or
Mm.
what, but at least we understand
One of the reasons.
specifically why. Yeah, one of the
Mm.
reasons why Vin didn't bring it up in the last chapter.
Hmm. Yeah.
But we get a fun chapter this week with a little bit of secret discussions, a
Yes.
bit of nihilism, trying to plant a seed of hope for the future. Think of the
Yeah.
children.
No, I really do love this chapter. Actually, I love all the different characters. Just, one of those team up scenes is great.
They're always fun. We get
Hmm.
an official Dachshund is off the list.
Yes.
Yep.
Finally, yes. Although, like, he has been going through some stuff, it seems.
Yes.
Yeah. But yes, he's not the Condor. Here we go.
Yep. Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co host, That Darn Kita.
Dorkus and I are both going into the story completely new, with almost no knowledge of the story or world.
Each segment, we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter and discuss our experience along the way.
Hold on to your butts, because this is Ascension Unleashed, a blind read through, and today we will be covering chapter 46.
Chapter 46. The two are not the same. And I read that and I was like, damn, what a way to come
Mm-hmm.
off that last chapter in which it was like
Mm-hmm.
Ellen and Vin, they're the same.
Well, it wasn't that they are the same, it was that
No,
they are for each other.
they have, they are not as different as they think themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But I think within context, he means Alendi and the Hero of Ages are not the same.
Yeah, in the wherever this writing is. It's not,
I would
is it
imagine.
not? Okay, wait, where's 45? Just hold on. So 45, I know what is now repeated by the world bringers. And it wouldn't be. Well, it could, but it doesn't make sense. Like, the two are not the same. Oh, what he memorized and what's repeated by the world bringers are not the same.
Oh,
That
yeah, that makes sense.
mm, the two are not the
Yeah.
same. I don't. Yeah, or they're talking about two different people. I don't know. But beautiful, usual epigraph things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I think you're right, though. He's referring here to what he memorized and what they're saying.
Mm. I would have thought
That's
that they
my bad.
are the same thing. I think he's just rambling. I know what I memorized. I know what is now repeated by the world bringers.
Hmm.
Like those would be the same thing, in my opinion. But says if this is the next line, which we never know. We've seen in epigraph sometimes there's whole chunks that are put before and after. The two are not the same. So, but they want us to have this in mind. The two are not the same.
Yes.
Is it how, which two could it be? Vin and Zane, are they are not the same. Vin and Ellen, they are not the same. Ellen and Zane, they are not the same. So it's just lovely. It's like prophecy. You can apply it to everybody and find meaning in it, but it actually doesn't help you at the end. So thank you, Sanderson.
Yeah. Breeze could smell intrigue from 2 streets away. Unlike many of his fellow thieves, he hadn't grown up impoverished, nor had he been forced to live in the underground. He'd grown up in a place far more cutthroat, an aristocratic court. Fortunately, the other crew members didn't treat him differently due to his full-blooded noble origin. So,
Yeah, reveal.
yeah, this was spoiled for me. I don't know if you saw it, Kitty, but
Mm-mm.
there was a comment.
Oh.
They said it because they thought that it was in the appendices that Sanderson mentions it. So, but it's not the worst of spoilers.
No, it's not. The reveal is it's interesting. It's not like, oh, it's not going to change anything really. It's just, oh, okay.
Yeah. But again,
Um,
please be careful
mhm.
about what you say in the comments section.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you didn't have it at all. I had the experience. Yay.
So, what was
I
that
hadn't
like?
seen it. It was like, oh, there's new things to learn about him. I enjoyed that.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, and it makes sense as well. It makes so much sense.
Yeah. I wonder if Alrion knows. No, she
I
doesn't
wonder.
because she said Breezy's ska to Vin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. Fortunately, the other crew members didn't treat him differently due to his full blooded noble origin. That was, of course, because they didn't know about it. His
Hold
upbringing
on.
afforded.
Guess what?
Hmm?
We can apply the prophecy to Breeze. He's of his people, but not.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. There it goes.
His upbringing afforded him certain understandings, things that he doubted any Ska thief knew, no matter how competent. Ska intrigue made a brutal kind of sense. It was a matter of naked life and death. You betrayed your allies for money, for power, or to protect yourself. In the noble courts, intrigue was more abstract. Betrayals wouldn't often end with either party dead, but the ramifications could span generations. It was a game, so much of one, in fact, that the young Breeze had found the open brutality of the Ska underground to be refreshing. I like that.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a logical distinction between the two, and
Hmm.
I appreciate how someone could appreciate that distinction and prefer the Ska brutality over the other.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I'd get way too frustrated with actually the complexity of the intrigue and the undertones and oh god.
Yeah. He sipped his warm mug of mulled wine, eyeing the note in his fingers. He'd come to believe that he wouldn't have to worry about intra crew conspiracies anymore. Kelsier's crew was an almost sickeningly tight group, and Breeze did everything within his allomantic powers to keep it that way. He'd seen what infighting could do to a family.
Ooh, that makes me go, okay, what do you mean in your family?
I wonder that. It's also a very good topic for him to be thinking about, and it makes sense that he would be the one to think about it because
Hmm.
despite his nonchalant attitude, he's the empath in the group.
Hmm. Yep, exactly. He will feel these dynamics.
Yeah. And I did know that the note that he's holding was the one that Sazed wrote.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
clear.
same. Yeah, pretty clear.
That was why he was so surprised to receive this letter. Despite its mock innocence, he could easily pick out the signs, the hurried pace of the writing smudged in places but not rewritten. Phrases like, "No need to tell the others of this," and "Do not wish to cause alarm." Those are such Saws had things to say, by the way.
Yes, I read them in his accent.
The additional drops of sealing wax spread gratuitously on the flap of the letter, as if to give extra protection against prying eyes. There was no mistaking the tone of the missive. Breeze had been invited to a conspiratorial conference. But why in the Lord Ruler's name would Sazed, of all people, want to meet in secret? The thing is, it's not even really a secret meeting. The whole crew is there except for
Yeah,
Spook.
but he doesn't know that yet, obviously.
True.
He the fact that he's getting everybody together is a conspiratorial thing. It is. So he wants to be cautious about it. So even though he doesn't want everyone knowing, like he invites everyone individually, he knows that the what he's doing is considered kind of shady. Um,
Right.
so I love that Breeze doesn't consider that everybody else will be there. I think I like this. Oh, I love that we are in Breeze's POV, like, uh, and and kind
Well,
of
we have to be for
figuring
the
out his
soothing.
loyalty. Yeah, for the soothing, yes, but figuring out his loyalty and things like that, like
Yeah.
why he's doing all of these things. It's I enjoy it.
Yeah. No, this was an excellent part of the story to
Mm.
have Breeze for. I don't think this
Mhm.
would have worked nearly as well from Sazed's POV.
Mhm.
Breeze sighed, pulling out his dueling cane and using it to steady himself. He grew lightheaded sometimes when he stood. It was a minor malady. He'd always had it, though it seemed to have worsened during the last few years. He glanced over his shoulder as his vision cleared toward where Alrion slept in his bed. We get an answer as to whether or not Alrion stayed.
She's there.
Yep, that's good, and he gets lightheaded. He is perhaps
Mhm.
anemic?
Yeah, maybe. And grown worse during the past last few years. Maybe it's the deepness. I'm kidding. I'm trying to find reasons that Breeze is the hero of ages too. Because it's all of because the hero of ages is our the friends we made along the way. So he's one of them.
Yes. I should probably feel more guilty about her, he thought, smiling despite himself and reaching to put his vest and jacket on over his trousers and shirt. But, well, we're all going to die in a few days anyway. An afternoon spent speaking with clubs could certainly put one's life in perspective.
I love that. It's just so that's the pessimism. It's just like, oh well, we're gonna die. So, you know what? Oh well, no need to feel guilty. I don't need to spend time feeling guilty if I'm gonna die soon.
Yep. Breeze wandered out into the hallway, making his way through the gloomy, inadequately lit venture passageways. Honestly, I understand the value in saving lamp oil, but things are depressing enough right now without the dark corridors.
He is such a he's so fancy. He actually is such a spoiled brat. He's like, ugh, it's dark. It's so shitty.
Yeah. So catty. The meeting place was only a few short twists away. Breeze located it easily because of the two soldiers standing watch outside the door. Demio's men, soldiers who reported to the captain religiously as well as vocationally. Interesting, Breeze thought, remaining hidden in the side hallway. He reached out with his allomantic powers and soothed the men, taking away their relaxation and certainty, leaving behind anxiety and nervousness. The guards began to grow restless, shuffling. Finally, one turned and opened the door, checking on the room inside. The motion gave Breeze a full view of the room's contents. Only one man sat within, Sazed. A
I
neat
love
little
this.
use of... Same.
Yes. Yeah. You say it.
I thought this was a neat use of this power, and I'm locking it away for future D&D games where I can do something similar.
Yes, to make yeah, if you can influence the emotions, you can influence actions. Mhm.
Yep. Breeze stood quietly, trying to decide his next course of action. There was nothing incriminating in the letter. This couldn't all simply be a trap on Ellen's part, could it? An obscure attempt at finding out which crew member would betray him and which wouldn't? Seemed like too distrustful a move for the good-natured boy. I agree,
I agree.
And that was exactly what I thought when I read that first part of the sentence.
Exactly when I yeah, that's exactly what happened with me. As he was saying it, I'm like, "Nah," because I'm considering it with Breeze, and the
Yeah.
"nah" came in before he even explained it, so it's fun when you think like a character as well,
Yeah.
about a character, yeah.
Yeah. Besides, if that was the case, Sazed would have to try to get Breeze to do more than simply meet in a clandestine location. The door swung closed, the soldier returning to his place. I can trust Sazed, can't I? Breeze thought. Was he overreacting? I don't see why you wouldn't be able to, but I guess you're not quite as close with him as he is with other crew members.
And
Sazed,
this
I
is
mean.
the yeah, this is the underground. He's got these instincts.
True.
And he's been playing this game all the time as well. So he's going to be distrustful anyway. And he's going to
Yeah.
try and figure out what's your angle, boy. He's always going to be trying to figure that out. So yeah, that makes sense. And then you look at Sazed and you're like, nah, I don't know if Sazed's got a bad angle anyway. But he's also like, okay, it's not that bad. I'm just meeting with him to see
Yeah.
what he wants. So he's making this decision. I like that we have this thought process though. It's not just oh Breeze and giving no craps. He cares about loyalty. He cares about consequences. What's going on? What part will I play in this? It makes
Agreed.
him very likable. Yeah.
Yeah. Careful and
Yeah.
smart. No, the guards proved that Sazed worried about this meeting being discovered. It was suspicious. If it were anyone else, Breeze would have gone straight to Elend, but Sazed. Breeze sighed, then wandered into the hallway, dueling cane clicking against the floor. Might as well see what he has to say. Besides, if he is planning something devious, it will almost be worth the danger to see it. And really, what does it matter if you're all gonna die in a couple days anyway?
Exactly. There you go. It helps. Like, I don't need to feel guilty about my girl. I don't need to feel guilty about betraying supposed maybe Ellen. Who knows? Let's figure it out. We don't have time anyway. But I like it worth the danger. There is that. It's just a reminder that yes, he's an impulsive sort of person as well. Or
Yeah,
like,
they
what
all
do you
are.
like? Yeah, yeah. They all have this thrill that they go
Hmm.
after.
Despite the letter, despite the strange circumstances, Breeze had trouble imagining a terraceman being involved in something that wasn't completely honest. Perhaps the Lord Ruler had had the same problem. That seems uniquely insightful for Breeze.
Yeah. That they thought the terrorisman. What do you mean uniquely? Like the fact is, he's insightful that he knows that the terrorisman wouldn't do something dishonest, but then actually they could. It's a weakness.
I think that this is an important line, and we don't have the full context for its
Mm.
importance
So
in a
just
grander
star it.
scheme.
Yeah,
Yeah,
highlight. Yeah, okay.
but I also think it's more. More insightful than I would have expected from Breeze. Just plain and simple.
Why?
I
Breeze is
don't
so
dislike
insightful.
it.
Breeze is insightful. I think what I get is that maybe I suppose what would surprise me is just the fact that he expends any thought beyond himself.
It,
That can
it's
surprise me.
I suppose it's more like in line with what you're saying. It's like, what does it matter what kind of problems the Lord Ruler may or may not have had at this
Mhm.
point? There are more immediate things to immerse yourself in.
Ah, okay.
Breeze seems a very here and now moment. He doesn't seem
Mm,
like the big reflective type. This almost
mm.
seems like a Ham thought to me, more so than a Breeze thought, is what I'm trying to communicate.
Okay, okay, I get it.
I'm not complaining about it. I like the
Mhm,
line. I
yeah,
do think it should be asterisked for grander importance. I'm just
mhm,
noting I was a little surprised.
mhm.
Breeze nodded to the soldiers, soothing away their anxiety and restoring them to a more temperate humor. There was another reason why he was willing to chance the meeting. Breeze was only now beginning to realize how dangerous his predicament was. Luthadel would soon fall. Every instinct he'd nurtured during 30 years in the underground was telling him to run. That feeling made him more likely to take risks. The Breeze of a few years earlier would already have abandoned the city. Damn you, Kelsier, he thought as he pushed open the door.
You sure? It's always Calcia's fault that you're a better person.
Sure, but if your instincts are telling you to run and then you take even bigger risks, well, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward, right? It's going to taste
Mhm.
so good when you do win, if you win.
He's yeah, he's hoping that maybe I don't know, maybe this is a way out. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking as well. That's maybe this is a way out, but it doesn't turn out to be actually.
correct. Sazed looked up with surprise from his table. The room was sparse, with several chairs and only 2 lamps. You're early, Lord Breeze, Sazed said, standing quickly. Of course I am, Breeze snapped. I had to make certain this wasn't a trap of some sort. This isn't a trap, right?
Mine says this isn't a trap of some sort, right? Just detail there. I prefer that phrasing because like using the exact same phrase as you did before. Trap of some sort, trap of some sort. I think that's quite hilarious.
Good catch. Trap? Sazed asked. What are you talking about? Oh, don't sound so shocked. This is no simple meeting. Sazed wilted slightly. It's that obvious, isn't it? Breeze sat, laying his cane across his lap, and eyed Sazed tellingly, soothing the man to make him feel a little more self-conscious. You may have helped us overthrow the Lord Ruler, my dear man, but you have a lot to learn about being sneaky.
I find that so endearing.
Agreed.
I like that Sazed wilted. He's like, oh, because he thought he was doing really well.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, you said it's this that obvious, is it? That's what he says. It's
Oh,
that obvious.
yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess so.
like he wilted because he was confident. He had some confidence, and then he was like, "Oh shit, it's that obvious." Damn.
Sure enough. I apologize, Sazed said, sitting. I simply wanted to meet quickly to discuss certain sensitive issues. Well, I'd recommend getting rid of those guards, Breeze said. They make the room stand out. Then light a few more lamps and get us something to eat or drink. If Elend walks in, I assume it's Elend we're hiding from. Yes. Well, if he comes in and sees us sitting here in the dark, eyeing each other insidiously, he'll know something is up. The less natural the occasion, the more natural you want to appear. Ah, I see. Thank you.
Love that.
Yeah, I loved it too.
I just love the whole idea. He's like, and I love how Sazed really is not good at being sneaky, and he's like, but this is a conspiracy. We're supposed to look all insidious, and he's wearing a cloak, and like, why not
So,
handing out daggers and things?
yeah. So they're all having their secret meeting, and then Elend walks by, sees them playing cards. He's like, You guys didn't invite me? Mean.
Mm. Yeah, that's it. That's all he has to do. I agree with Breeze. Yeah. So
The door opened and Clubs hobbled in. He eyed Breeze, then Sazed, then wandered over toward a chair. Breeze glanced at Sazed. No surprise there. Clubs was obviously invited as well. Loose those guards immediately, Clubs snapped. Immediately, Lord Claydent, Sazed said, standing and shuffling over to the door. He spoke briefly with the guards, then returned. As Sazed was sitting, Ham poked his head into the room, looking suspicious.
I like that the first thing that Club says is lose the guards, and he doesn't say, "Hey, you're here too," or anything. It's so Clubs that he's just like lose the guards. Doesn't explain why, because there's Breeze explaining. Okay, this is why you want it to look natural. Da, 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 da. No, Clubs just walks in. Get rid of the guards.
Wait a minute. How many people are coming to this secret meeting? Sazed gestured for Ham to sit. All the more experienced members of the crew. You mean everyone but Elend and Vin, Breeze said. I did not invite Lord Lestaborns either. Yes, but Spook isn't the one we're hiding from. And that was Breeze thinking to himself.
Hmm. Yeah, so we're hiding from Elend and Vin more than anything. Okay.
Yes, though it is noteworthy that that Spook is not here
Yeah.
as well. And it gives a
We'll
little
learn
hint
why.
as to why that might be, but Yes. Ham sat down hesitantly, shooting a questioning glance at Breeze. So, why exactly are we meeting behind the backs of our Mistborn and our king? King no longer, a voice noted from the door. Dachshund walked in. Yay, more Dachshund. We have had so little of him.
I was now looking at him suspiciously. I was like, okay, we haven't seen you in a while. Still, it's still a possibility.
We haven't gotten that first soothe yet, so
Mhm,
as confident as I am about it being Dogosaur, there
mhm,
is always that possibility.
mhm.
Anyway, King no longer. In fact, it could be argued that Elend isn't leader of this crew anymore. He fell into that position by happenstance, just like he fell into the throne. Ham flushed. I know you don't like him, Docs, but I'm not here to talk treason.
Oh, loyal Ham, love it.
Yeah, he's such a puppy dog. There's no treason if there's no throne to betray, Doxson said, sitting. What are we going to do? Stay here and be servants in his house? Ellen doesn't need us. Perhaps it's time to transfer our services to Lord Penrod.
No, yeah, this pissed me off. I was like, okay, Dachshund, with who? No, I saw his resentment for Elend throughout this sentence. It was just, oh, Elend, we're just Elend's servants, and he just doesn't like Elend. You can see it.
Yeah, poor
What?
Doxson.
Yeah,
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 he comes. There was a little surprise that he'd be willing to transfer it to Lord Penrod, and he does
mhm,
go into why that is, and I love that reasoning behind it. But we
mhm,
do get a bit of an aggressive Dachshund. We get a lot of fighting and that circular
mhm,
sort of fighting that tends to happen in these types of chapters, I think.
mhm.
But yes, aggressive Dachshund. Penrod is a nobleman too. You can't tell me you like him any better than you do Elend. Dachshund thumped the table quietly with his fist. It's not about who I like, Ham. It's about seeing that this damn kingdom Kelsier threw at us remains standing. We've spent a year and a half cleaning up his mess. Do you want to see that work wasted? Please, gentlemen, Sazed said, trying without success to break into the conversation. Work, Docs, Ham said, flushed. What work have you done? I haven't seen you do much of anything besides sit and complain every time someone offers a plan. That was really aggressive from Ham, and I would have expected that more from Breeze, but, well,
Ham is
no, that's not
frustrated with
true.
him. No, Ham is
Yeah.
frustrated with Dachshund. He's feeling that disconnect. Like we have not seen much of Dachshund, and yeah, we're far away from him. And
Yeah.
then there's this distance that he's put because of Elend, just not liking Elend.
Mm-hmm.
And Ham is very close to Elend now.
True.
So it makes sense that he's got this pent up. Like, oh, I can finally talk to Dachshund. Oh, by the way, Dachshund, you're being a bit of a dick. So I'm with Ham on this. He did turn on Vin quite easily when he's
Yeah.
just like she's loony, but like all the Lestborn said that. But still, he loves his Elend.
Yes. Complain, Dachshund snapped. Do you have any idea how much administrative labor it has taken to keep this city from falling upon itself? What have you done, Ham? You refuse to take command of the army. All you do is drink and spar with your friends. That's enough of that, Breeze thought, soothing the men. At this rate, we'll strangle each other before Straff can have us executed. Dachshund settled back in his chair, waving a dismissive hand at Ham, who still sat red-faced. So, that's not a guarantee that Dachshund felt it.
Hmm.
Not yet, but
No, not yet.
it
Hmm.
it's noteworthy he did sit at that point.
Hmm.
Sazed waited, obviously chagrined by the outbreak. Breeze soothed away his insecurity. You're in charge here, Sazed. Tell us what is going on, he thinks. Please, Sazed said. I did not bring us together so that we could argue. I understand that you are all tense. That is understandable, considering the circumstances. Penrod is going to give our city to Straff, Ham said, and that ends up not entirely being true, because I think at the end of this chapter, Straff is pretty much on his way out.
Mm.
Legitimately, right? I don't think I misread that. We'll cover it when we get there, but
Hmm.
I was under the
Yeah, but
impression that Straff was set to leave, earnestly.
yeah, but I don't know if that's well. Let's see what they do talk about it now. But I suppose Ham was still thinking on that old thinking that no, he's gonna Penrod's giving them to Straff. That was literally the deal.
Yes, true. That's better than letting them slaughter us, Doxon countered. I don't know, Straff's gonna be pretty,
Yeah,
not
I'd rather
good.
die, thanks. Yeah.
Actually, I don't think we have to worry about Straff slaughtering us. No? Doxon asked, frowning. Do you have some information you haven't been sharing with us, Breeze?
See, that's also aggressive from Doxon. Like, relax, Doxon.
Yeah.
Okay, is there some information you're not sharing with us? No, no. What do you know, Breeze? Like, he's very stressed. I understand everybody is under a lot of
Yeah,
pressure.
very much so. Oh, get over yourself, Dox, Ham snapped, and there are a lot of snaps. A lot of snapping.
Hmm.
You've never been happy that you didn't end up in charge when Kel died. That's the real reason you never liked Ellen, is it? Oof. Ouch.
Look, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that line because I was like, yeah, just confront him with that. See what he does with it because it's definitely something I would be thinking as a friend. So
Look,
he's expressing it. He's confronting him. I'm liking it. Not that we're gonna
I
get anywhere with it. It's just tell your friend that you feel that way.
look, I will die on this hill. Doxon should have been king.
Hmm.
As good as Ellen is, as necessary
Mm,
as him being king and then losing it has been for his arc,
mm,
Doxon the Ska should have been
mm-mm.
king.
No, he's got too much darkness in him.
Ah, maybe. Maybe.
But look, he flashes.
No, I'm just sitting with what you said.
Okay.
Hmm. Gonna cut out a long pause as I sit with that.
Okay. You don't have to
Okay.
agree with me or disagree. You can just let it go. It's just what I think.
No, it was an effective rebuttal, and I'm angry at you for it. Doxon flushed and Breeze sighed, slapping both of them with a powerful blanket soothing. They both jumped slightly as if they'd been stung, though the sensation would be quite the opposite. And that right there is the
Mhm.
confirmation, not a chondra.
Yes, absolutely. Look, you could glean from the situation. He could be very skilled and sees that Ham
I
jumped and then he jumped. But I think no, I think this is confirmation enough. I don't think
Yeah.
he's gonna make a twist in this. I think that's what we're supposed to take from this. And I love that it is a slap. It feels like a slap. It seems like a slap. That he's just like, okay, that's enough from you two, you little shits. Pa pa. Like that's what I enjoy. I like the use of elements, emotional elements here. That this is how you use it. And then there's Vin who's like, oh, I don't want to use it on my friends and all of it. No, Breeze is like, okay, fine. Shut up. He's helping the one guy over there. He's doing all of this. It's all just natural to him.
Yep. Their emotions, once volatile, would suddenly have become numb and unresponsive. Both looked at Breeze. Yes, of course I'm soothing you. Honestly, I know Hammond is a bit immature, but you, Doxon? Doxon sat back, rubbing his forehead. You can let go, Brace, he said after a moment. I'll keep my tongue. Ham merely grumbled, settling one hand on the table. Sazed watched the exchange with a bit of shock. This is what cornered men are like, my dear Terraceman, Breeze thought. This is what happens when they lose hope. They might be able to keep up appearances in front of the soldiers, but put them alone with their friends? Ah. As a terraceman, Sazed's entire life had been one of oppression and loss, but these men, Breeze himself included, were accustomed to success. Even against overwhelming odds, they were confident. They were the type of men who could go up against a god and expect to win. They wouldn't deal well with losing. Of course, when losing meant death, who would?
Yeah, I'm with him.
Not a bad sentence,
Yeah,
although,
it's a good assessment, I think.
yeah, although I wonder how long was Sazed with the crew? Because Sazed went up against a god as well.
Yeah, he did. But it's just he's finding explanations for these things. It's just the
True.
way it is. And but the thing is there is still as much as Sazed did go up against a god and things like that, Sazed is not the peak of confidence, is he?
Very true. Straff's armies are getting ready to break camp, Clubs finally said. He's doing it shuttily, but the signs are there. So he's coming for the city. My men in Penrod's palace say the assembly has been sending missive after missive to Straff, all but begging him to come take up occupation of Luthadel. He's not going to take the city. At least not if he's smart. Vin is still a threat, and it doesn't look like Straff has a Mistborn to protect him. If he came into Luthadel, I doubt there is a single thing he could do to keep her from slitting his throat. So he'll do something else.
I think this is actually quite a good thing that it actually makes you notice how the crew has, as much as they haven't been fighting like this, they actually haven't been communicating as a crew anymore. Breeze
Mm-mm.
doesn't know about any of this, any Zane
Yeah.
at all. That they've all kept to themselves. Even okay, so there's
Mm-hmm.
been like a little space of just Ellen and Vin, but Vin's kept stuff from Ellen, and then both of them have kept from the crew, which is just
Mm-hmm.
you can see how this doesn't work out. So it shows us that.
Yeah. Of course, it doesn't help that Vin and Alan think that someone on the crew is a Khandra.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Doxson frowned and glanced at Ham, who shrugged. It's really quite simple, Breeze said, tapping the table with his dueling cane. Why, even I figured it out. Club snorted at this. If Straff makes it look like he's withdrawing, the Kolos will probably attack Luthadel for him. They're too literal to understand the threat of a hidden army. I mean, sure, but what about their leader? I
Mm.
mean, we can go over how smart Jastes is, but they should note that the Kolos do seem to be controlled by someone.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's a leader there that brought them there. And they're not just.
Yeah.
But you see,
Uh, but
we're not talking about what Ellen's found out about the Kolos. Everything. He
r-
hasn't said any of this to them.
right.
But like you said, there's a Condor supposedly there. So
Right. And Clubs is about to mention Jastes, but
mm. I don't think they know. They don't know actually that he's being. They don't mention him that he pays them. That they want to be humans. None of that.
yeah. If Straff withdraws, Jastes won't be able to keep them from the city. Doxson blinked. But they'd slaughter? Yes, they'd pillage the richest sectors of the town, probably end up killing most of the noblemen in the city.
No, they'll just kill everybody in the city. Clubs. But he's, I
Yeah, I mean,
suppose.
if they are so volatile, why should we believe that they'd leave anyone alive?
Hmm.
Eliminating the men that Straff has been forced, against his will, knowing that man's pride, to work with. In fact, there's a good chance the creatures will kill Vin. Can you imagine her not joining the fight if Kolos broke in? The room fell silent. But that doesn't really help Straff get the city, Doxson said. He'll still have to fight the Kolos. Yes, but the Kolos will probably take down some of the city gates, not to mention level a lot of the homes. That will leave Straff with a clear field to attack a weakened foe. Plus, Kolos don't strategize. For them, city walls won't be much help. Straff couldn't ask for a better setup.
I mean, we do find out that that's not what's happening, but it makes sense. They have to figure out how one eventuality or one possibility could be used to an advantage by the enemy. So I'm
Yeah.
understanding their thinking here.
Yeah. He'd be seen as a liberator. If he returns at the right time, after the Kolos have broken into the city and fought the soldiers before they've done serious damage to the Scar Quarter, he could free the people and establish himself as their protector, not their conqueror. Knowing how the people feel, I think they'd welcome him. Right now, a strong leader would mean more to them than coins in their pockets and rights in the assembly.
Coming back to the safety versus freedom theme there.
Precisely. And it's not a bad PR game.
Hmm. But does Straff give a crap? Yeah, it's not that he gives a crap and wants them to like him. It's that if they like him, it's easier to rule them.
True.
And I say like very likely.
Yeah. As the group thought on this, Breeze eyed Sazed, who still sat quietly. He said so little. What was his game? Why gather the crew? Was he subtle enough to know that they'd simply needed to have an honest discussion like this without Ellen's morals to clutter things up? I don't think he knew that, but I like that Breeze thinks that. We could simply let Straff have it, Doxson finally said. The city, I mean. We could promise to call Vin off, if that is where this is heading anyway. Dox, what would Kel think to hear you talk like that? We could give the city to Justice Lacal. Perhaps he can be persuaded to treat the Ska with dignity. And let 20,000 Kolos through the gates? Breeze, have you ever seen what those things can do? Doxson pounded the table. I'm only given options, Ham. What else are we going to do?
Jeez, Doxson, pounding tables several times. But yeah, these are the cornered men that we spoke about.
Yes, and at this point, I'm like, okay, we've cycled through this fight. Let's keep going, but
But this is how it happens, though.
yeah.
This is realistic. This is how it
Yes,
happens.
I agree.
You don't go, oh, we've had this fight, we're done. That's not humans.
Yeah. I'm only giving options, Ham. What else are we going to do? Fight and die. The room fell silent again. You sure know how to kill a conversation, my friend, Breeze finally said. It needed to be said. No use fighting yourselves anymore. We can't win a fight, and a fight is where this was always going. The city is going to get attacked. We're going to defend it, and we'll lose. You wonder if we should give up? Well, we're not going to do that. Kel wouldn't let us, and so we won't let ourselves. We'll fight, and we'll die with dignity. Then the city will burn, but we'll have made our statement. The Lord Ruler pushed us around for 1,000 years, but now we Ska have pride. We fight, we resist, and we die.
Woo! Go clubs!
Quite a speech.
Yeah, quite a speech, but this is it. This is what you do have to get to. That you are going to just fight. It was kind of like when they first gathered the army to fight against the Lord Ruler, and it was like, oh, but we're going to fail. But it's like, no, but the thing is, nobody's ever done this before, or nobody's done this as well as us, or that sort of thing. Making a statement is very important. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
with Ham on. I'm with Ham. I'm with clubs on this.
Clubs?
And I
Yeah.
love that it's coming from clubs. It's not just pessimism from clubs, actually. It's not, oh, we're going to die anyway. It's no, we're going to die, and it won't be for nothing. So it's very important
Yeah.
that it comes from clubs.
Yes. What was all this worth then? Ham said with frustration. Why overthrow the final empire? Why kill the Lord Ruler? Why do anything, if it was only going to end like this? Tyrants ruling every dominance, Luthadel smashed to rubble, our crews dead. And it's poignant of him to say, and it's wonderful that Sazed speaks up now, because that's the whole point of what
Mm-hmm.
Sazed's trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Sazed said softly, someone had to begin it. While the Lord Ruler ruled, society could not progress. He kept a stabilizing hand on the empire, but it was an oppressive hand as well. Fashion stayed remarkably unchanged for 1,000 years, the noblemen always trying to fit the Lord Ruler's ideals. Architecture and science did not progress, for the Lord Ruler frowned on change and invention. And the Ska could not be free, for he would not let them. However, killing him did not free our peoples, my friends. Only time will do that. It will take centuries, perhaps, centuries of fighting, learning, and growth. At the beginning, unfortunately, and unavoidably, things will be very difficult. Worse than they were beneath the Lord Ruler. Powerful
Great
statement so
realization.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's look, it doesn't I don't think they're completely unaware of this. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just that it hasn't been said, frankly, to them. Like, listen, do you realize the huge change we have brought about in the world? It's not going to be hunky dory the day after the Lord Ruler is killed. It's not going to do. This is the damage he's done is massive.
Correct. And we die for nothing, Ham said with a scowl.
Oh, Ham.
Yeah,
Silly.
poor Ham. No, not nothing, Lord Hammond. We will die to show that there are Ska who will not be bullied, who will not back down. This is a very important precedent, I think. In the histories and legends, this is the kind of event that inspires. If the Ska are ever to take rule of themselves, there will need to be sacrifices they can look to for motivation. Sacrifices like that of the survivor himself. The men sat in silence. Breeze, I could use a little more confidence right now. Of course.
Breeze is
Very
like a
fun.
bag of drugs for them.
Of course, Breeze said, carefully soothing away the man's anxiety and fear. His face lost some of its pallor, and he sat up a little straighter. For good measure, Breeze gave the rest of the crew a little of the same treatment. How long have you known? Doxon asked Sazed. For some time now, Lord Doxon. But you couldn't have known that Straff would pull back and give us to the Kolos. Only clubs figured that out. My knowledge was general, Lord Breeze, Sazed said in his level voice. It did not relate to the Kolos specifically. I have sought for some time that this city would fall. In all honesty, I am deeply impressed with your efforts. This people should long since have been defeated, I think. You have done something grand, something that will be remembered for centuries. Damn, Sazed. Ouch.
What? I thought I didn't realize. I'm surprised they survived as long as this. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's a
But it's
foregone conclusion. There was never any chance of success. I mean, first off, screw Yedden for costing them an army and weapons, but they made it not terribly.
yeah, they made it. I think he's just saying that that was always the possibility, or he always knew it was the possibility, but he's not admitting to the fact that he also was part of that hope. Oh, your efforts? Excuse me, everybody's efforts, okay? Yours included. He's like, oh, your efforts, as if he's not part of it. Please.
Yeah, assuming anyone survives to tell the story. Sazed nodded. In fact, that is why I called this gathering. There is little chance of those of us who remain in the city surviving. We will be needed to help with defenses, and if we do survive the Kolos attack, Straff will try to execute us. But it is not necessary for us all to remain in Lucidel for its fall. Perhaps someone should be sent out to organize further resistance against the warlords. I won't leave my men, Clubs grumbled. Nor I, though I did send my family to ground yesterday. The simple phrase meant that he'd had them leave, perhaps to hide in the city's underground, perhaps to escape through one of the pass walls. Ham wouldn't know, and that way he couldn't betray their location. Old habits died hard. Ah, poor Ham. If this city falls, I'll be here with it. That's what Kel would expect. I'm not leaving. Good, Doxon.
Absolutely.
That is the king we deserve. That is King Doxon right
Mm,
there.
no, he's still too. Sorry, he's still too dark. Yeah, you have
Aw.
to push him all the way for this. Okay.
I'll go, Breeze said, looking at Sazed. Is it too early to volunteer?
You're
Actually,
crazy.
Lord Breeze, I wasn't. Breeze held up a hand. It's all right, Sazed. I believe it's obvious whom you think should be sent away. You didn't invite them to the meeting. Doxon frowned. We're going to defend Luthadel to the death, and you want to send away our only Mistborn? Well, I mean, she already made her decision to leave, so
So, well, they don't know that, but yeah,
yeah,
she is abandoning the city to this, but she feels like there is a bigger reason for her to leave. That's why she's able to do it.
sure. Elend is gonna go kicking and screaming.
I don't know how they're going to get Ellen. I really don't know, but if he is given a new task that he's got to go and reorganize and he's got to continue things, maybe that will help him.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Mm.
It's gonna be tough. And I can't even say I think they're gonna have Vin knock Elend out and drag him out because I don't think Vin is gonna be around much longer. I don't mean dead. I
Yeah,
mean I think she herself is gonna be knocked out and dragged out.
by Zane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then are we gonna get an Ellen spook adventure to rescue Vin? That's the team up I didn't expect on my
Yeah.
2025 bingo card.
And then maybe Spook can actually go through some development because he's, journeying with a more mature man.
Yeah. Sazed nodded his head. My lords, he said softly, the men of this city will need our leadership. We gave them this city and put them in this predicament. We cannot abandon them now. But there are great things at work in this world. Greater things than us, I think. I am convinced that Mistress Wynne has a role in them. The deepness is back. Just say it.
Yeah. I mean, they can't do anything about it, and it just helps them be motivated to make her go. Don't
Yeah.
say she is the hero of ages, but say like, look, the deepness is back. She needs to go and investigate or something.
Yeah. Even if these matters are delusions on my part, Lady Wynne still must not be allowed to die in this city. She is the people's most personal and powerful link to the survivor. She has become a symbol to them, and her skills as a Mistborn give her the best chance of being able to get away, then survives the attacks Straff will undoubtedly send. She will be of great value in the fight to come. She can move quickly and stealthily, and can fight alone, doing much damage, as she proved last night. Sazed bowed his head. My lords, I called you here today so that we could decide how to convince her to run, then the rest of us stay to fight. It will not be an easy task, I think.
Haha. Love the
Uh,
dramatic irony.
yeah.
Yeah. It's just not gonna be that's not what she's leaving for, number 1. She's not leaving for that fight, she's leaving to figure out the Well of Ascension, and also, the fight's actually gonna be more with Elend, trying to get Elend to go.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. She won't leave Elland. He'll have to go too. My thoughts as well, Lord Hammond. Clubs chewed his lip in thought. That boy won't be easily convinced to flee. He still thinks we can win this fight. And we may yet. My lords, my purpose is not to leave you without any hope at all, but the dire circumstances, the likelihood of success. We know, Sazed. We understand. There have to be others of the crew who can go, Ham said, looking down. More than just the two. I would send Tindville with them. She will carry to my people many discoveries of great importance. I also plan to send Lord Lesteborns. He would do little good in the battle, and his abilities as a spy could be of help to Lady Wynne and Lord Elland as they try to rally resistance among the Ska.
What my concern here is, because yes, she is this main connection to the Scar, but there is a way that the people can be angry with her for abandoning them.
Yes,
That might occur, but you could then go like she was doing it for another reason, and as long as they understand that, you know, it works.
sure. For a little bit, I was going to be worried that Ska outside of Luthadel won't really care about the religion of the survivor because they weren't there. But I don't necessarily think that's necessary if we're talking
Mhm.
armed resistance against,
Noblemen. Yeah.
yeah, against
Warlords.
noblemen,
Yeah.
warlords. Those four will not be the only ones who survive. Most of the Ska should be safe. Just as Lakal seems to be able to control his Kolos, even if he cannot, then Straff should arrive in time to protect the city's people. Assuming Straff is planning what Clubs thinks he is, he could be withdrawing for real, cutting his losses and leaving Luthadel behind. Either way, not many can get out. Neither Straff nor Jostesh are likely to allow large groups of people to flee. Right now, confusion and fear in the streets will serve their purposes far better than depopulation. We might be able to get a few riders on horseback out, especially if one of those riders is Vin. The rest of the people will have to take their chances with the Kolosh. Breeze felt his stomach turn. Clubs spoke so bluntly, so callously. But that was Clubs. He wasn't even really a pessimist. He merely said the things that he didn't think others wanted to acknowledge. I liked the word you used last time we
Mhm.
talked about it, fatalist.
I don't know. Oh, fatalistic. Maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
I might have brought that up. But he is, the the last time we spoke about it in this chapter was that yes, he's not pessimistic. He's actually got quite a lot of hope,
Yes.
but he's also not avoiding the actual problem.
Yeah. And let's not forget, Elend had a line much earlier in this book about having plans in case the attack goes on inside the city. They brushed it
Mhm.
off, but I'm suspecting
I'm
there'll
hoping
be a
it comes back.
payoff to that. Yeah.
Mm. Also, just a little note, like, yes, he's sending Tyndall with them for
Yes.
for terrorist reasons, but also, yeah, because Tyndall then also gets to be safe, and Sazed wants her to be safe. We know this.
Yeah. I don't think Elend should go. I think he would make a better martyr for what Sazed thinks that those who stay are going to accomplish.
Maybe that's
Eh,
that's actually what happens because it seems so unlikely that he will go.
yeah, just because right now he has this amazing reputation, and
Mhm.
for him to leave and abandon the city, that's going to mar
That's even
his
worse. Yeah, that's even
reputation.
worse than Vin leaving, yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to him dying
Mhm.
in the
A
attack to
leader.
protect the
Yeah.
Ska, that that
Yeah.
cements Sazed's expectation of something that inspires. If the
Yeah, I'm
story
thinking
is the king abandoned his people, that's not an inspirational story.
yeah, I think that's probably the argument that, Erland would give, if he was allowed to give an argument. That's another thing. Are they
Yes.
gonna kidnap him?
Yeah.
That is a possibility, but yeah, I'm with you, and I do think it's probably I kind of hope that Erland is in the city, he doesn't go with. I was indifferent, but now I'm like, "No way, Erland cannot leave." Yeah.
Right. Some of the Ska will survive to become slaves for Strathventure, Breeze thought, but those who fight and those who have led the city this last year are doomed. That includes me. It's true, this time there really is no way out. Well, Sazed asked, hands spread before him, are we in agreement that these four should go? The members of the group nodded. Then let us discuss and devise a plan for sending them away. We could make Ellen think that the danger isn't that great. If he believes that the city is in for a long siege, he might be willing to go with Vin on a mission somewhere. They wouldn't realize what was happening back here until it was too late.
I think that's underestimating
I
Ellen's
agree.
intelligence completely. Like Doxson, he's not a kid anymore, son.
I very much agree, especially with Straff looking like he's about to head
Mm,
out.
mhm.
A good suggestion, Lord Doxson. I also think that we could work with Vin's concept of the Well of Ascension. Um,
Okay, so here we have a note that Vin's concept of the Well of Ascension. So does he
yeah,
have some sort of inkling that he can convince her that she needs to go to the Well of Ascension, which she has convinced herself, but he doesn't know that?
Yeah, I don't remember the two of them talking about the Well of Ascension in great detail. They talked about the mist and the deepness, but
Mhm.
I don't remember her mentioning to anyone, her except Ellen saying, I think I have to
Mm.
go to Terrace."
Mm.
Hmm.
Now, yeah, but she has been curious about the deepness and that sort of
Y-
thing. So
yeah,
he can glean, I suppose,
sure,
with that.
sure. The discussion continued, and Breeze sat back satisfied. Vin, Elend, and Spook will survive, he thought. I'll have to convince Sazed to let Ulrion go with them. Good on
That
you,
would be
Breeze.
hilarious. Yeah, good
Very
on Breeze. I
hilarious.
know I expect that from Breeze. It would be fun. Vin actually
Yeah.
is gonna realize that she likes Elrond, so
Yay. Best friends. He glanced around the room, noticing a release of tension in the postures of the others. Doxson and Ham seemed at peace, and even Clubs was nodding quietly to himself, looking satisfied as they talked through suggestions. The disaster was still coming, but somehow the possibility that some would escape, the youngest crew members, the ones still inexperienced enough to hope, made everything else a little easier to accept. I really enjoyed that bit of prose.
Mhm. Yeah. That's it makes you feel like, yeah, there are so even if we lose the crew, we're gonna retain something. and they're the future. The children are the future. Also, it's funny. He says they're inexperienced enough to hope. It's like, but you are still hoping. You're making plans, but there is still hope. You're still acting with hope. There's always something that keeps you going. Otherwise, you just jump off the walls and kill yourself.
Yes. Vin stood quietly in the mists, looking up at the dark spires, columns, and towers of Kredik Shaw. In her head, two sounds thumped, the mist spirit and the larger, vaster sound. Okay, I was almost expecting her to meet up with Marsh, or rather for Marsh to appear at some
Oh,
point.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit.
I I didn't expect it. No, I was just watching basically. I didn't have any like, oh, who's coming here?
Sure.
I'm focused on Vin.
The mist spirit and the larger, vaster sound. It was growing more and more demanding. She continued forward, ignoring the thumps as she approached Kredik Shaw. The Hill of 1,000 Spires, once home of the Lord Ruler. It had been abandoned for well over a year, but no vagrants had made their home here. It was too ominous, too terrible, too much a reminder of him. Nah, I'd take it. I'd go. I'll live there.
Nah, I'd want to burn it down probably.
But think of the history. Think of
Mm,
the
it's not history
history.
until I'm dead. So
The Lord Ruler had been a monster. Vin remembered well the night over a year before when she had come to this palace intending to kill him, to do the job that Kelsier had unwittingly trained her to do. She had walked through this very courtyard, had passed guards at the doors before her, and she had let them live. Kelsier would simply have fought his way in, but Vin had talked them into leaving, into joining the rebellion. That act had saved her life when one of those very men, Goradel, had led Elend to the palace dungeons to help rescue Vin. Yeah, I
yeah,
guess that would have been a Kelsier move to just unalive them.
yes, absolutely.
You know, in a way, the final empire had been overthrown because she hadn't acted like Kelsier. How dare you, Vin?
Mhm. Go on.
Built on everything that Kelsier did before you. Kelsier set the
Hmm.
stage so that you could do what you did. Uh,
Hmm.
you're not wrong that you're letting them live ended up helping you in the immediate, but you would not
Hmm.
have gotten that far without Kelsier in the first place.
Yes, but her main concern is this is her dilemma, what's going on. She's trying to figure out what kind of person she is, acting like Calcia in terms of being ruthless to get what she wants. Um,
Fair
but I
and
know,
true.
I can see, I understand you defending him. I just know where her mind's at. She's in that thing where she does the good Calcia and the bad Calcia. She just decides to
Yeah,
focus on a certain type of part of Calcia at one time or another.
yeah. And yet, could she base future decisions upon a coincidence like that? Looking back, it seemed too perfectly allegorical, like a neat little tale told to children intended to teach a lesson. Vin had never heard those tales as a child, and while she had survived, so many others had died. For every lesson like the one with Goradel, it seemed that there were a dozen that ended in tragedy. Yeah, life is hard, and
You do actually have to pick the lessons that you want.
yeah, and you want to believe that kindness works its way around,
You do.
you know.
And you wanna believe that things happen the way they should.
Yeah. And then there was Kelsier. In the end, he'd been right. His lesson was very different from the ones taught by the children's tales. Kelsier had been bold, even excited when he executed those who stood in his path.
Excited? Well, yeah, okay. He was
He
pretty funny or
he was
flippant.
he was funny, he was flippant, he was nonchalant. He didn't have much empathy, but I never felt like he reveled in killing them. He felt it was a duty, perhaps, an
He did revel
obligation.
in, yes, but he did like revel in killing like obligators and things like that, like
Well,
trying to
yeah,
kill
but
them. Yeah.
those
So
are obligators. That's a
mhm. No, but also just I think she's also thinking about the kind of absolute coolness of being a Mistborn. That would be exciting.
yeah,
That you're like, "Oh, shit, this is really great," because that you're just able to overpower everyone,
yeah.
and it's exciting. He likes the challenge. There is that evidence, but the way it sounds there, the
Don't
way it feels is a bit
she,
more like he's, like,
she's
psychopathic.
yeah, she's trying to make him into some sort of sociopathic psychopathic murderer, and it's like, no, not
She's
exactly.
Yeah, but she's using black and white thinking. It's just her young mind, her young troubled mind.
Yeah, ruthless. He had looked toward the greater good. He'd always had his eyes focused on the fall of the Empire and the eventual rise of a kingdom like Ellen's. Yes, that. He
Mhm.
wasn't going around killing noblemen for funsies. Does that make it much
Initially, maybe,
better?
but
I
sure.
don't know.
Mm.
Were his
Mhm.
actions necessary in a magical world with an immortal god emperor? Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not in that situation. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. I much prefer to
Yes,
read
thanks.
about it.
Mhm.
He had succeeded. Why couldn't she kill as he had, knowing she was doing her duty, never feeling guilt? She'd always been frightened by the edge of danger Kelsier had displayed, yet wasn't that very edge the thing that had let him succeed? No.
She's also assuming that he had no guilt. You're just assuming that because he didn't stop, that he had no guilt. No, he dealt with guilt along the way. He had
Hmm.
Marsh as well, saying those people had families and things like that. It's not like he had no concept of it. He just had to he actually tried to deal with guilt by ignoring that fact and just focusing on the fact that no, this is towards my goal. It's not that he had absolutely no regard.
Right. And I'm sorry, I'm still hung up on the excited line. Like, I can get behind him not feeling not having felt guilt because of what he saw as his duty and fighting
Mhm,
enemies, but I
mhm.
never once got that he was excited by the killing and the ruthlessness.
Mm. I think the excitement was from mistborning, it's not about killing.
Yeah, probably.
She's
She
projecting a lot of her own excitement, remember? She's also
true,
she's been excited during killing.
true. She
Mm.
passed into the tunnel-like corridors of the palace, feet and mist-cloak tassels trailing marks in the dust. As always, the mists remained behind. They didn't enter buildings, or if they did, they usually didn't remain for long. With them, she left behind the mist spirit. She had to make a choice. She didn't like the decision before her, but she was accustomed to doing things she didn't like. That was life. She hadn't wanted to fight the Lord Ruler, but she had. It soon became too dark even for mistborn eyes. She had to light a lantern. When she did, she was surprised to see that her footsteps weren't the only ones in the dust. Apparently, someone else had been haunting the corridors. Whoever it was, she didn't encounter them as she walked through the hallways.
Is
Hmm.
it Marsh or is it Zane? I don't know. I think it might be
I
Marsh.
I assumed the mysterious inquisitor, whom we assume is Marsh, yeah.
Mhm.
She entered the chamber a few moments later. She wasn't sure what had drawn her to Credit Shaw, let alone the hidden room at its center, but lately she had been feeling a kinship with the Lord Ruler. Her wandering had brought her here, to a place she hadn't visited since that night when she'd slain the only god she'd ever known. Epic sounding.
Mhm. Yeah, very, very cool turn of phrase there.
Yeah. He had spent a lot of time in this hidden place, which he had apparently built to remind him of his homeland. The chamber had a domed roof that arced overhead. The walls were filled with silvery murals, and the floor with metallic inlays. She ignored these, walking forward toward the room's central feature, a small stone building within the larger chamber. It was here that Kelsier and his wife had been captured many years before, during Kelsier's first attempt to rob the Lord Ruler. Mare had been murdered at the pits, but Kelsier had survived. Okay, sure.
And
Good
she's just
stuff.
considering all of these things, yeah.
Yep, walking through the memories.
It's not repetitive, it's just
I agree.
yeah, just that is what she's doing, yeah.
Yeah. This is a nice little. It's not quite a goodbye to Kelsier, I think, But if at the end of this she determines not to be like Kelsier, this is a nice little goodbye to Kelsier.
Mm-hmm.
We never did get a real funeral for him, did we? Or anything like
No,
that.
we all got plunged into it. It was just his like resurrection, and then it
Yeah.
was a fight. And yeah, no real funeral. I'm more of like even if she doesn't come to some sort of conclusion, it's just that I understand that she's wandering through this place thinking about all these things because she's just at some sort of
Yeah.
crossroads thing. I don't even know if she's gonna have answers, but this is just this is she's not hiding anymore. She is, but she's walking through her memories and trying to figure stuff out. And glad I can he gives us a look into it.
Yeah. It was here, in this same chamber, that Finn had first faced an Inquisitor and had nearly been killed herself. It was also here that she had come months later in her first attempt to kill the Lord Ruler. She had been defeated that time too. She stepped into the small building within a building. It had only one room. The floor had been torn up by Ellen's crews searching for the Atium, but the walls were still hung with the trappings the Lord Ruler had left behind. She raised her lantern, looking at them. Rugs, furs, a small wooden flute, the things of his people, the terrace culture from 1,000 years before. Why had he built his new city of Luthadel here to the south when his homeland, and the Well of Ascension, had been to the north? Vin had never really understood that.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
I think it was because of the Atium.
Oh, because of the Atium? Okay. Also, they did look for the Atium in this chamber and things like that. Why don't they look for the Atium also in the other room? There's metal inlays and things like that. Do you maybe as an Allomancer, you lift them some sort of secret passage or whatever? Like, they just left that room. That's also an important room, but they decided, "No, that's the only place we're gonna look. We're gonna look in that chamber."
I do not
So,
know.
they basically preserved his home, his little, I don't know, cottage, but they didn't look in it.
It's
Mm,
history.
mm. Oh, but the other place wasn't?
Look, someone can take that wooden flute and be like, hey guys, want to buy the Lord Ruler's flute?
Nobody wants that.
20,000
Well,
boxings.
mhm.
Perhaps it came down to decision. Rashek, the Lord Ruler, had been forced to make a decision too. He could have continued as he was, a pastoral villager. He would probably have had a happy life with his people. But he had decided to become something more. In doing so, he had committed terrible atrocities. Yet could she blame him for making that choice? He had become what he'd thought he needed to be. And at this point, I'm thinking, burn gold, Vin, burn gold.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm like, "Vin, this is what gold is for." You like, why? Why not? You're doing all of this work walking around and wandering and thinking, "Burn gold."
Do it, do it, do it.
I was so disappointed when she didn't. I thought at some point we were gonna get it at least in this chapter.
If we don't in this book, I hope we do in the next. I trust that
Mhm.
Sanderson has more and interesting uses for it, and I want to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Her decision seemed more mundane, but she knew that other things, the Well of Ascension, the protection of Luthadel, could not be considered until she was certain what she wanted and who she was. Yet thinking about the well, standing in that room where Rashek had spent much of his time, the demanding thumps in her head sounded louder than they ever had before. She had to decide. Elend was the one she wanted to be with. He represented peace, happiness. On the other hand, Zane represented what she felt she had to become, for the good of everyone involved. No, Vin, no! The
Oh,
Lord Ruler's
what do you have to
palace. Yeah, what do you have to
become?
become? A killer?
Mm. And this makes me start thinking of the 2 are not the same things. Like, it's like, I
Hmm.
don't know. I'm just keeping that in mind.
The Lord Ruler's palace held no clues or answers for her. A few moments later, frustrated and baffled at why she had even come, she left it behind, walking back out into the mists.
You go find gold, right?
Please.
Mhm.
Zane awoke to the sound of a tent spike being pounded in a specific rhythm. His reaction was immediate. He burned steel and pewter. He always swallowed a new bit of each before sleeping. He knew the habit would probably someday leave him dead from metal poisoning. In Zane's opinion, dying someday was better than dying today.
Okay. Risk taker. Yeah.
Look at you, edgy boy. He flipped out of his cot, tossing his blanket toward the opening tent flap. He could barely see in the darkness of night. Even as he jumped, he heard something ripping, the tent walls being slit. Kill them! God screamed. I had a question.
Mhm.
I don't remember if I've raised the question before or not. But given what we learn about Zane at the end of this chapter
Mhm.
and the experiments that it takes to make Inquisitors, I was
Mhm.
wondering, do the Kolos hear God telling them to kill them? And maybe that's what sets them off to attack people randomly, other Kolos mostly?
Yeah, it's a possibility. Yeah.
Okay. That thought was in my mind.
I don't think you've brought that up. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if I haven't before, I should, because it's a thought. Zane thumped to the ground and grabbed a handful of coins from the bowl beside his bed. He heard cries of surprise as he spun, throwing coins in a spray around him. He pushed. Tiny plunks of sound thumped around him as coins met canvas, then continued on, and men began to scream. Zane fell to a crouch, waiting silently as the tent collapsed around him. Someone was thrashing in the cloth to his right. He shot a few coins and heard a satisfying grunt of pain. In the stillness, canvas resting atop him like a blanket, he heard footsteps running away. He sighed, relaxing, and used a dagger to slice away the top of his tent. He emerged to a misty night. He'd gone to sleep later today than he usually did. It was probably near midnight. Time to be up anyway. So at this point, we know fairly clearly this is Straff's attack on him,
Mhm.
yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. This is like that's the only person that would go for him, knows where he is, all of that.
Yeah. I'm curious if any of those that were sent were also Allomancers. I suspect not, from how easily
Yeah.
done away they were.
Yeah, there was no pushing back, there was nothing.
Yeah. He strode across the fallen top of his tent, moving over to the now cloaked form of his cot, and cut a hole so he could reach through and pluck out the vial of metal he'd stored in a pocket beneath it. He downed the metals, and tin brought near light to his surroundings. 4 men lay dying or dead around his tent. They were soldiers, of course, Straffs. The attack had come later than Zane had expected.
Yeah, I think if there were Allomancers, he would have noted them here.
Yeah. Straff trusts me more than I assumed, Zane thinks to himself. Zane stepped over the dead form of an assassin and cut his way into a storage chest, then pulled out his clothing. He changed quietly, then removed a small bag of coins from the chest. It must have been the attack on Set's Keep, he thought. It finally convinced Straff that I was too dangerous to let live. Yeah, well, no, because he had already decided
Yeah,
to
he had
do it
already
before
decided.
that, but
Mhm.
he probably was in the process of setting it up and then saw the set
Mhm.
thing and then was like, nope, we're going now.
Mhm. Yeah, we're gonna go in even without Allomancers.
Yep. Zane found his man working quietly beside a tent a short distance away, ostensibly testing the strength of a tent cord. He watched every night, paid to pound on a tent spike should anyone approach Zane's tent. Zane tossed the man a bag of coins, then moved off into the darkness, passing the canal waters with their supply barges on his way to Straff's tent. Clever of Zane to do that, yeah?
Mhm. Yeah, very Zane to do it, very paranoid, and yeah, they are after you, so why not?
Yeah. His father had a few limitations. Straff was fine at large scale planning, but the details, the subtleties, often got away from him. He could organize an army and crush his enemies, but he liked to play with dangerous tools, like the atium mines at the pits of Hathson, like Zane. Sure, but do you think you're any better, Zane? Because you don't get the respect of your fellow soldiers, at least not in the way you want.
Yeah, you use everybody as tools, really.
Yeah, not that Straff is respected, but basically,
Mm.
I'm saying that Straff is probably better at what he does than Zane would be at what Straff does.
Mhm.
Those tools often ended up burning him.
Edgy, edgy boy.
Yeah, so edgy. Zane walked up to the side of Straff's tent, then ripped a hole in the canvas and strode in. Straff waited for him. Zane gave the man credit. Straff watched his death coming with defiance in his eyes. One hell of a line. He's
Yeah,
certainly shitting his pants, but yeah.
yeah. At this point, I was like, oh, okay, so this is it, eh? This is it. Straff's gonna die now. Um,
That's what I
that's what
thought.
I was feeling. Yeah.
I wrote, oh shit, is Zane going to do the thing in my notes? Zane stopped in the middle of the room, in front of Straff, who sat in his hard wooden chair. Kill him, God commanded. Lamps burned in the corners, illuminating the canvas. The cushions and blankets in the corner were rumpled. Straff had taken one last romp with his favorite mistresses before sending his assassins. The king displayed his characteristic air of strong defiance, but Zane saw more. He saw a face too slick with sweat, and he saw hands trembling as if from a disease. I have Atium for you, Straff said, buried in a place only I know. Zane stood quietly, staring at his father.
Wow. He's so pathetic. Like it's cool to see this. How
Yeah,
scared he is.
he
Mhm.
thinks he can still buy his way out of this.
You know, it's just desperation. It's like I'll just try and say something. Not like he's not going do what you must or anything. It's just like I've got Atium. You know, have you considered that? Mm.
Yep. I will proclaim you openly, Straff said. Name you my heir. Tomorrow, if you wish. Zane didn't respond. Straff continued to sweat. The city is yours, Zane finally said, turning away. He was rewarded with a startled gasp from behind. Zane glanced back.
he he loves this.
Yeah,
The fact that he like it must be terrifying that he doesn't say anything for a while. You're like, when is this gonna happen? When are you gonna kill me? And then he's like, oh, by the way, the city's yours. Like he's being an edgy boy, and it's very scary.
yep. Zane glanced back. He'd never seen such a look of shock on his father's face. That alone was almost worth everything. Pull your men back as you are planning, Zane said, but don't return to the northern dominance. Wait for those Kolos to invade the city. Let them take down the defenses and kill the defenders. Then you can sweep in and rescue Luthadel. But Elenge Mistborn. Okay, so that right there is what tells
Mhm.
me that Straff was earnest in his retreat.
Yeah, he was leaving. Yeah, he was not going to use this plan at
Right.
all. But everybody did consider this as a possibility, which is I'm fine
Yes.
with that.
Yes, which is a point against Straff's intelligence, potentially. But then, let's not lose sight of the fact that Zane didn't have to say this to him.
Hmm.
Zane advocating for Straff to... Bad Zane.
To win.
Bad.
Yeah, no, but it is. It's so that his dad gets what he wants because he wants his daddy to get what he wants because he loves his dad. He
Look, I'm
does.
just saying it seems really, really dark and unnecessary of Zane to do that. Not that he
Oh,
owes
he's yeah.
Luthadel or Vin anything at all,
Mm.
but
But he's
it's
bestowing this. Yeah, I know that. But he's bestowing this upon Straff. It's all about Straff actually. Him and Straff. It's so personal. It has nothing to. You give zero craps about people. It's all about
sure,
him. Yeah.
right. But Ellen's Mistborn will be gone, Zane said. She's leaving with me tonight. Farewell, father. She's doing what now, Zane?
I don't know how willing she's going, but apparently that's what's happening. I mean, there is a possibility they've spoken about it, and that's what's happened. But I feel exited out.
Yeah, she's not going to go with him without a
Mm,
fight, I think.
mhm.
She's...
Unless she chooses him and she wants to be that person.
And I
Yeah.
hope she doesn't.
Mm.
She's... Oh god, she's gonna, isn't she?
Yeah, probably.
He turned and left through the slit he made. Zane? Straff called from inside the tent. Zane stopped again. Why? Straff asked, looking out through the slit. I sent assassins to kill you. Why are you letting me live? Because you're my father, Zane said. He turned away, looking into the mists. A man shouldn't kill his father. With that, Zane bade a final farewell to the man who had created him, a man whom Zane, despite his insanity, despite the abuse he'd known over the years, loved. Does he, though? Does he, though?
He's not really. It's as close as it can be to what he's
Yeah,
capable of.
poor Zane.
Yeah.
Sad Zane.
He doesn't really know it, so it's like it's love. He just knows that he cares. I think as close as we can get is he feels something and cares, but he calls it okay. I love him. That's why he's let this guy live. That's why he hasn't been. He's been playing with him basically.
Yeah.
So it's an important thing. It's not like it's healthy love or anything like that. And having love for Strath, yeah, not really interested in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's complicated.
In the dark mists, he threw down a coin and shot out over the camp. Outside its confines, he landed and easily located the bend in the canal he used as a marker. From the hollow of a small tree there, he pulled a bundle of cloth, a mist cloak, the first gift Straff had given him years before when Zane had first snapped. To him, it was too precious to wear around, to soil and use. He knew himself a fool. However, he could not help how he felt. One could not use emotional allomancy on oneself. That was an interesting line there that I thought was unique and neat.
He's just wishing. He's actually wishes he could use it on himself.
Yeah. Unwrapping the mist cloak, he withdrew the things it protected, several vials of metal and a pouch filled with beads, atium. He knelt there for a long moment. Then he reached up to his chest, feeling the space between two ribs, right above where his heart thumped. There was a large bump there. There always had been. He didn't think about it often. His mind seemed to get distracted when he did, but it was the real reason he never wore cloaks. He didn't like the way cloaks rubbed against the small point of the spike that stuck out of his back between his shoulder blades. The head was against his sternum and couldn't be seen beneath clothing. So,
Good lord.
so here he's like half inquisitor. Is that what this is? And
Mhm.
that's why he's a mistborn, which suggests that Straff gave his own son to the inquisitors and said, hey, do me a favor. I'll probably give you atium or something, but can you make him a mistborn? Is probably what happened.
Would they do that? How would they do that? For Atium? I don't know.
Straff was rich. He was Atium
Mm,
House.
I guess, and you can find a bad inquisitor. I don't know. Or he tried. He used someone who makes inquisitors and forced them or something. It doesn't seem as easy as oh well, hey, do this.
Right.
It's quite atrocious that he's done that. Oh my god.
Sure. So, and then that spike
But he did
be
snap. But he did snap apparently.
sure.
Mm.
Maybe getting the spike is what caused him to snap. But so that thing there, the spike there, is what made me wonder if that's involved in him hearing God. And then that
Mhm.
is what got me to, I wonder if the Kolos hear God. Not that the spike makes one a Kolos. I doubt that's the case.
Mhm.
But it was just an interesting thought.
Mm. Yeah, and
It's to,
you have the idea of the co- the Carlos being created and things like that. So it could be connected through that.
yeah.
That them being created, some process, something is
Do
involved.
you think Kolos are failed inquisitors?
Maybe. But how many would you have that you keep like there's a selection process. I don't know if they failed inquisitors as in like
It's
maybe
true.
they're
That's actually
related. The
true.
process is related. That's as far as I can take it. But
Yeah.
there's no sparks, there's nothing. They don't seem in maybe the same magic if there is a
Yeah.
process of creating. Yeah.
Hmm. It's time to go, God said. Zane stood, dropping the mist cloak. He turned from his father's camp, leaving behind that which he had known, instead seeking the woman who would save him.
Oh, that's healthy.
Very long chapter with a lot of good stuff.
Hmm. And a great reveal. Great reveal at the end.
Very great reveal. Yeah, I'm
Mm.
excited. I want to know more.
Mhm.
Very
Yeah.
ominous for the next chapter, which we will be doing as a blind.
Hmm. Very excited.
Anything else to say?
Like the video.
If you like. Have a great rest of your week. Subscribe to that Don Kitte if you get a chance, because she's got a great channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks,
Yeah,
bye.
thanks. Bye.